date, as of 2025 that is, no permanent space settlement has been established on any celestial body besides Earth. Currently, there are plans to expand our species to both Mars and the Moon. However, with current technology and issues related to how to actually do this, many people wonder how feasible or logical it is to actually colonize our solar system right now. It's no secret that space exploration is a chore indeed. There are a lot of issues that our civilization or any civilization would, have, and will encounter when attempting to colonize and explore both our home star system and galaxy as a whole. Mars has an extremely thin atmosphere, which allows solar winds and cosmic radiation to interact directly with the Martian ionosphere. Whether Mars was once a habitable world is debatable, though there is evidence to suggest that it once harbored liquid water. It's possible Mars lost its thick atmosphere early in the solar system's development, likely due to its weak magnetic field, allowing solar winds to strip the atmosphere over the course of 4 billion years. Today, Mars is a harsh environment, constantly being hit with cosmic and solar radiation, along with its freezing temperatures, lack of a magnetic field and magnetosphere, not to mention its atmosphere being filled primarily with deadly carbon dioxide levels that would lead to hypoxia, and its low atmospheric air pressure. There are several proposed ways to counteract all of these, such as that cyanobacteria can be used directly for various applications, including production of food, fuel, and oxygen, and that Earth-like self-sustaining habitats could be built. However, numerous other problems are present in the plan of Mars colonization besides how harsh the Martian environment truly is. One immediate issue is that prolonged isolation in space is a major concern. Astronauts already experience mental health issues through their prolonged periods inside space stations. Solipsism syndrome is a major concern, as it's a psychological condition which is caused by periods of extended isolation. Essentially, it's a condition in which a person believes that only their own mind is real and that external reality, including other people, might not exist outside of their consciousness. This is extremely dangerous, as even for a psychologically healthy person, you can never actually prove the world around you is real. You can only really trust your senses. Several psychological studies prove that if you were to trick every one of your senses at once, your brain would not be able to perceive it was tricked. Optical illusions are a prime example of this, as something as simple as a picture is able to trick your brain. Is this black smudge on the picture actually moving? In reality, it's not. Optical illusions are defined as visual deceptions that occur when our perception of an image differs from reality, meaning that our brain can actually be tricked to perceive the world and universe around us different than it actually is. More examples such as the placebo effect and Cotard syndrome, or even paranoid schizophrenic delusions, which bend a person's perception of reality, making them believe something that to any outside observer is obviously not true, which is more proof that your perception of reality is highly dependent on what you believe. In space, where humans cannot be managed orderly and can only be trusted to manage themselves essentially, this would lead to a number of issues that could arise that would be really bad. If a Martian colonist who had experienced prolonged isolation begins developing solipsism syndrome, it could very well lead to him endangering himself and/or the entire colony. Whether those delusions lead him to wandering outside the habitat and quickly dying due to the Martian composition, or he simply starts destroying the habitat, any number of unpredictable scenarios can arise for mentally unwell individuals that believe the reality around them is false. Moreover, if one colonist develops delusions, this could lead to the entire colony becoming infected with the same psychological deterioration as they feed into each other's growing delusions. Mass hysteria has been documented many times throughout history, most famously cases like the dancing plague or the meowing nuns, which prove a genuine delusional belief can expand to an entire colony of humans. It is entirely plausible that within 10 years, a Martian colony could have destroyed themselves or became entirely independent due to prolonged isolation. Independence is another factor. Many times throughout history, civilizations have been left in a faraway location and begun insurrections, rebellions, or coups d'etats. A lot of countries in the Americas actually gained independence this way. A vast ocean divided what colonizers could control over their territories, and most of these countries had revolts ending them becoming independent. The same thing could happen with a colony in space, and due to them already having advanced technology, they likely could spot an invasion fleet from Earth miles away. This would be getting into science fiction territory of humans' first interplanetary war being with each other instead of with an alien race. All of this is to say there have been many proposed solutions for these problems, such as allowing colonists to send and receive video messages from loved ones, which has been depicted in a few science fiction movies. One that comes to mind for me is Interstellar, where the main character in that movie was able to communicate with his daughter and son as he took his journey. Other solutions such as virtual reality, forming an actual society with jobs and meaning just like Earth, or just regular healthy activities that improve psychological health as well, such as exercising and eating well, keeping a routine and enjoying hobbies. However, with all of that solved in a hypothetical scenario, there still exist the issues of time and propulsion. Our own solar system spans 200,000 astronomical units, which is roughly 30 trillion kilometers and 18.6 trillion miles. The Parker Solar Probe has only ever achieved a maximum speed of about 430,000 miles per hour, or 692,000 kilometers per hour. Even at speeds such as this, it would take about 4.9 thousand years just to cross the entire solar system. In a situation where humanity had all the time in the world, these trips could be feasible and likely would have been started already. However, it's clear that humanity on Earth has a limited amount of time to get off the planet and or reverse the damage it's done to the planet before the point of no return. Events such as catastrophic global warming, rising sea levels, asteroid collisions, the Kessler effect, and nuclear war are only a few ways our civilization and species could come to an end and or be sent back to the Stone Age. At this point in time, in order to colonize the solar system and expand humanity so that destruction isn't guaranteed by staying on just one planet, we will need to develop much faster propulsion systems that can reach at least 1% the speed of light. And even this would be an immense challenge, as in as simple terms I can put it, the energy needed to accelerate an object to 1% the speed of light and deaccelerate it would take an amount of energy greater than we use worldwide in 1 year. This is to say, trillions of watts of energy would need to be put in a single source, which is a consumption that may be too wasteful to be viable, unless we can discover alternative energy sources that can make the expensive energy much less costly. However, stellar energy may be the solution to this. The sun on average produces 4.9 zetawatts of energy a day, which is equivalent to around 10 sextillion watts of energy. However, more issues lie within advanced propulsion systems rather than just the issue of where to get the massive amounts of energy. To reach these speeds, massive amounts of fuel would need to be created, which creates a really bad cycle, as the mass of the fuel adds to the overall mass of the spacecraft. And this, of course, is only with our own solar system. It would take about 70,000 to 160,000 years just to reach our closest star system of Proxima Centauri, and that's with current technology, and even at 1% the speed of light, it would take nearly 450 years. The rest of the galaxy would take millions of years to colonize, but again, this is because we have no idea how much time we have on Earth, obviously. And more obviously, it would be cool to see a multiplanetary or galactic spanning civilization right now. But these immense timescales are only an issue for those reasons. Realistically, if we sent just a dozen von Neumann probes, which are a theoretical self-replicating spacecraft that would use raw materials from the universe to create more probes, with these types of self-replicating probes that are designed specifically to seed human colonies all across the galaxy and establish civilizations on those planets it seeds, the entire galaxy could theoretically be colonized within just a few million years. But this all begs the original question of how soon could we actually colonize our solar system, and is it even possible? Well, in my personal opinion, I do believe we will discover a new propulsion system within the next 30 to 50 to 100 years, which will at the very least allow us to reach speeds faster than 800,000 kilometers per hour or 500,000 miles per hour. With those speeds, we could colonize most of the close candidates for colonization, such as Mars, the Moon, Mercury, objects in the asteroid belt, and the moons of outer planets like Jupiter and Saturn, in just a few hundred years. That is, if we can find a way to deal with the other challenges faced, such as how to possibly terraform these bodies too. But as far as the earliest, China and the United States claim by the 2050s we should see prominent human settlements on both Mars and the Moon. And if we were to invent a way to reach at least 1% the speed of light tomorrow or within the next few decades, then it would likely take a few hundred years to completely colonize the solar system and possibly only a few decades to establish human societies on multiple celestial bodies. We are, unfortunately, at the very beginning of our space age. We've only begun to even pay attention to the cosmos and try and understand them. While many ancient civilizations did engage in astronomy, its modern use dates back to about the late 1400s. In universal terms, this is basically like starting to study a subject for 1 second and instantly feeling like you can't do it. And if nearly 560 years is just 1 second, then the time we've actually spent in space and launching humans and probes out is merely nanoseconds. The first man-made object to reach space was Nazi Germany's V-2 rocket in 1944, and the first object to reach low Earth orbit was the Soviet Union's Sputnik in 1957. That marks only 81 years we've actually spent in space. So I do believe at some point in the far future, we will be a multiplanetary and possibly a galactic spanning civilization within a few million years. At this moment though, we can only be seen as faces in history as the pioneers that gave our descendants the ability to travel across space.